Southwest Florida is going through something extremely difficult right now, something we've never dealt with before, but I honestly believe we're going to come out on the other side stronger than ever.
No matter who you talk to, no matter what they've lost, they always say that it could have been worse.
You are tired. This is not easy. This is extremely hard. You have experienced great loss that is unimaginable.
Mandatory evacuation.
Even when you know it's coming for days.
The computer models,
the overspreading leak count.
The force of the storm got so many people still. And that's what hurts when you think about it.
The storm was closing in on Southwest Florida. Stopped me dead in my tracks.
It was no longer a storm that you're forecasting for someone else. That's my neighbor's house. That's my house next.
Oh my goodness.
Just gut-wrenching there.
That water was strong enough to shatter asphalt like glass. That was terrifying, really.
Basically, the worst case scenario. More or less.
An ocean above you, to be looking up at the ocean, you can't wrap your mind around it.
Rescued 9 people.
It's hard to take in that what is this going to look like when it's over.
You could just see boats everywhere. Boats all over downtown. I had never seen anything like it.
Seeing these businesses destroyed, these people's lives destroyed.
It makes you emotional because these are real lives that were lost, and this is our home that's hurting.
I thought maybe we were gonna get washed away.
I still have life. My loved ones are still safe. I'm still safe. I'm still here. It's been Southwest Florida shining in a moment of darkness.
It doesn't matter who's got what or who's doing what. It's about giving and uniting right now, helping your neighbor.
Everything went out the window and we're all just here for each other.
Even on the first day that we were out there, the recovery effort was immediate.
Everybody who was coming in here to help Southwest Florida, I mean, we're not alone.
People are trying to stay, trying to rebuild.
They want to see it built back again.
Losing everything, you realize what's important.
We're all in this together, and we're all going to get through this together.
First images that we saw of the lighthouse still standing gave us a little hope that some things survived the impact of the storm.
I have faith, you have to have faith, that everyone's going to build back stronger and build back better.
So when this storm was developing,
Had enough data to issue advisories on Tropical Depression number 9.
we were really concerned.
Sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. So at this point, it is a weak tropical storm. It is forecast to continue to strengthen heading through the weekend. Right now, gusts of 50 miles per hour.
We still have a lot of uncertainty when it comes to those models. Between 3 and 5 days, that's where they really start to spread out.
Things definitely changed along the way with this storm, especially with the rapid intensification.
That's where you prepare. You try to prepare as much as possible.
By 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, a Cat 1 hurricane. Now, this latest forecast is showing a Category 4 storm off our coastline at 130 miles an hour.
With Ian, it came off the coast of Cuba and it came into a very dangerous environment. The Gulf waters were very warm, there was no wind shear, and unfortunately it was in a perfect spot to explode.
This is perhaps the biggest takeaway. We do have a hurricane warning, and that extends from Tampa all the way down through Bonita Springs.
Tomorrow's going to be the worst of the days, I can tell you that our coastal communities will be dealing with hurricane force winds and strong ones at that.
Forecasting a storm surge possible 8 to 12 feet.
That red indicates hurricane force winds, and that's going to be overspreading Lee County as well as parts of Charlotte. That's still catastrophic damage. So very, very serious situation.
Over 10 inches of rain is not out of the question.
It had very little working against it. Unfortunately, it was also slow moving. That slow movement was another big issue.
So when it got into the Gulf of Mexico, it went from 120 to 140 to 155, a borderline Cat 5 in a matter of hours.
Trent, that is significant.
And we realized how devastating this could be. My heart dropped.
But we're looking at up to 18 feet, and it was life-threatening storm surge.
When I look at the amount of storm surge
And again, when we started making the call for 4 to 7 feet of water, you imagine that's a first story. That's almost an entire first story of most of these homes.
So many people have never been through a storm like this. This was a storm that was unprecedented on so many levels, and especially for Southwest Florida.
We had days warning for this, and the storm was still that powerful. It was more than 35 miles wide.
Periphery, it's more of about a 40-mile.
Closer look at this right now as we track what we are expecting to be a major hurricane just off of our coastline. This is basically the worst case scenario, more or less.
This was going to be something that we've never seen.
It doesn't give you a lot of time.
By the minutes, you could start to see the weather
Over here near Sanibel,
progressively get worse.
Really feeling that impact of Hurricane Ian.
Once I said it's time to hunker down, we cannot leave. We were all in it together.
It was tough. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I've been doing this for almost 20 years here in South Florida, and this was one that was hitting home. Winds are at 155. At that moment, I pulled Lauren Petrelli aside and I looked at her and I said, "Are you ready?" And she said, "Are you ready for what?" And I said, "To tell people they're going to lose everything today."
Chris and Amy, it is that time to take action,
Yeah.
especially for Sanibel, Captiva, North Captiva, Boca Grande, followed very shortly by Pine Island, areas along Matlacha, Boquilla, and St. James City. If you have stayed behind and you did not heed the evacuation warnings, it is time.
This is upgrading the storm to a magnitude that we have to tell people your homes might not be there tomorrow.
Control room, if there is any chance at all that we have access to pop up the camera on top of our studios at Fox 4 to take action, it's time to ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
And
Those high winds impacting, it looks like a rooftop there in one of these Cape Coral communities as well.
in Sanibel, and this is exactly why the island was evacuated.
The
And I
shock
know-
of this is actually happening, and it's actually happening to us. I want to take you now to Pine Island. Take a look at this video.
Wow.
This is our home, and this is very real right now.
Sanibel, and check out this video just slamming in to the seawall there.
We had Category 4 force winds on top of the extreme surge.
It's been really intense. It keeps getting worse.
It's literally the perfect storm.
Drastic difference that happened here.
The hotel tells us that it hit 20 feet where we were. And you're watching it, and it seems like it was never going to stop.
Again, you could just see how slow, a car is going at this time.
The scary thing is that when we were doing our live reports Wednesday morning is when we could still see cars that were trying to get over the causeway to try to leave. We decided to go inside. And that's when all of a sudden we heard all of the alarms going off. There was water coming in from all different parts of the ceiling. And we took a corner and you just saw the main doors just blowing up and down. The hotel says if those fully came through, all those other windows would have blown open. They were standing there, these men, to try to protect us at the hotel, and they stood there for hours. They stood there all through the night.
An unreal scene behind me right now on Bonita Beach.
I'm standing on this staircase that I've been on before, and I'm standing on the middle portion of the steps, and the sand is literally inches from my feet. Then you start to kind of make your way to the ocean.
You just see it. The ocean is eating this shoreline on a...
And to see just the magnitude in ocean above you, to be looking up at the ocean, you can't wrap your mind around it.
As the water was rushing in, I'm sure this was a situation that's happened many spots. Government leaders have said, even for people who have a boat, do not go out there and be a hero, because they don't want to have to send somebody else out to go recover the person who was in the boat trying to help.
Flooding in South Naples. This video is really tough to see.
We have a curfew now because of this storm surge right
And
now.
we keep waiting for this thing just to get away from Southwest Florida.
Just want to show you current conditions.
You're fighting to stand your ground.
Video of Charlotte County. You could just see those windy conditions pick up so quickly.
Debris is still flying all over the place.
There has been a ton of debris.
The wind was that strong, knocking us over, even with all the barriers from the cement.
You had people who were dealing with the wind. You see it on the trees. You see it on the siding. You had people dealing with the heavy rain. You could see that going into their roofs. And then they had the water coming from underneath on the flooding.
It wasn't just a few minutes either. I mean, we're talking 10 or more hours where people were clinging to whatever they could to save their lives.
So we're going to have this eye pass overhead, but then we have the other half of the storm. And as I was talking about, the other half of that storm still hanging out over very warm water. It is still very vigorous. And that's my concern, is that the back half then is going to be just as strong, if not potentially a little bit stronger.
I remember dozens and dozens of text messages coming through, like, when is this going to end? I'm in my closet.
Those really strong winds.
Started getting reports. There's cars floating down Fifth Avenue in Naples.
When are we going to see the end of this? This has been going on for hours. How much longer do we have? It just seemed never ending.
Then the videos start coming in. People start getting service and sharing what's happening.
Into our newsroom from Fort Myers this morning.
You're starting to realize, okay, this is serious, and what is the rest of Southwest Florida going to look like?
An entire tree uprooted from the side of this road. And all you see are power lines down, boats in the middle of streets, street lights swinging back and forth, homes completely destroyed, boats on top of homes.
We have a lot of light poles that have been knocked down.
Blocks from the marina had been swept all the way down to First Street, Broadway Street. And it was dark and we didn't even know what it was.
Now this water is about ankle deep, but as you head into the streets, it gets a lot deeper.
Water, I think, is what really blows my mind, just seeing how high up the water came and how far in it went. I mean, we heard of Coast Guard crews diving into the water above the roof and swimming in to see if people were inside. I mean, that just, it boggles your mind. It doesn't seem real. It seems like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch.
The roof is engulfed.
You started to pick out all the houses that were on fire.
May not be anything, depending on how the water is right around this house. There may not.
We got hit from every side. And to see, again, your hometown underwater, up in flames, what's next?
That we have just gotten, at least part of the Sanibel Causeway has collapsed.
The way it happened is what really struck me.
And my goodness.
It wasn't wind damage, that was just water rushing through and ripping that road apart.
The causeway, the road just sort of buckled.
It's the fact that that water was strong enough to shatter asphalt like glass. That was striking and terrifying, really.
I think people realize the power of water. We always say, hide from wind and run from water. And you know, a lot of the folks that, you know, have newer construction that were inland, they hid from the wind and they did okay. It was that water.
Rose higher and higher. They narrowly escaped death by...
You know, we saw the roads first before we saw what happened to the homes and the businesses. And so if the water can do that to the causeway, what can it do to a house where people are living?
Just see the faces, that's the hardest part. Like, these really are somebody's fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, even the pets, you know. This was people's lives and loved ones and families.
He was a victim of the storm surge. Sorry, always there for me.
It's not just numbers. Each person has a story.
You have somebody out there that loves them, that calls them mom, calls them sister.
It's just sad. I just can't. I can't shake it.
It's somber, of course, but people keep showing up and adding to it.
Originally, they spelled out the word hope on the fence with flowers. It was so inundated, you couldn't see that word anymore.
To reflect on all of the things that have happened.
It makes you emotional because these are real lives that were lost, and this is our home that's hurting. Are looking live. If you're just joining us, our helicopter is up in the air over Fort Myers Beach. We are getting our first look when we saw the helicopter footage, and it was live. I was seeing it for the first time. The devastation and the destruction that we're seeing.
It's such a contrast to see such a beautiful place destroyed. And to know that there were people that were still there.
Look at Times Square. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that is just gut-wrenching there. It was heavy. When Amy and I were describing that footage, the reason we knew all those places is because we spent so much time there.
Yeah, man. I remember being on this side of Estero Island on the bridge, and we couldn't get over yet, but some people were able to get over, and as they're walking back, I'm just asking them, what's it like over there? And I remember one guy, the first guy I talked to, he said, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Never seen destruction other than in movies. Like it looked like a doomsday type of scene.
And that seems to be a pretty accurate description.
Our cameras were rolling the moment we were able to get on to Fort Myers Beach. We actually embedded ourselves with the South Florida Urban Search and Rescue Task Force as they were still rescuing people out of homes to save this Fort Myers Beach couple.
There's first responders everywhere, there are helicopters, the National Guard is present, and it's like, this can't be my hometown. This can't be like what's happening here. But it was, and it was heartbreaking.
See, this is the only way to get into Matlacha at this point in time because that temporary bridge has not been built quite yet. Now
taking a look at these houses that were just off their foundation and laying in the water, the devastation in that was painful to watch.
A first-hand look on one of these boats that all crashed upon each other. Now, this is a perspective from many of the shrimpers.
Got sideways and just pushed us all up in that corner. No looking back, no. I wish I had not stayed on that boat.
And watching tears stream down their faces, you feel really helpless, and there's not a lot that you can do.
Up together. It's going to be a lot of work to get this cleaned up.
We are here this morning in Harlem Heights. We are coming to you live this morning from the Iona neighborhood.
Just about a block south of Summerlin. There's so many neighborhoods that you might not see on the big streets. You don't see them from the road, but there's so much destruction.
To see just how far the devastation really goes.
Mobile homes, ranch homes, gated communities. You see the blue tarps all over. You see garages destroyed. You see debris out front.
What's been the most difficult for me is when I go into homes. I've gone into many where they flooded.
Can you show us inside your house? Yeah, can we come inside? You can see the sludge.
This could happen to anybody. The guy down the road, a reporter, housing reporter.
So the first thing I'm going to show you is this. So this is the flood line to my house here in Cape Coral.
It was just a grungy, foul smell. Some doors I couldn't even open, so I literally had to kick down doors.
Ahead of you is my living room, what's left of the living room.
Later on, I started clearing the stuff out of my house. About 90% of my stuff is gone.
Every home I walk into, you really can't compare. One person may have a destroyed home, and that's horrific, but the person whose home has $50,000 worth of damage, that's their reality, that's their story. Everyone's dealing with something.
The house came off the pylons and on. You can't really grasp the sense of just how big of an impact this has had.
You look from Marco Island, Naples.
The city of Naples says the pier is about 1,000 feet and about 200 feet was washed away.
All the way up through Sarasota County.
This whole part of Venice is under mandatory evacuation.
There wasn't a community here at our market that wasn't hit hard.
I met people who told me in those first hours, that first day or two after the storm, they didn't really have a lot of hope. And what gave them hope was other people coming to them and helping them and letting them know that they were going to be okay.
We already got crews all the way down there as well with some bulldozers.
It's been amazing to see how the community has responded so quickly to
make sure that we're able to serve the community.
Caravans, and I'm not talking hydro, I'm talking thousands of cars, the military trucks and the helicopters, everybody who was coming in here to help Southwest Florida.
You guys need food, water, tarps or anything?
Helping out and donating food, had people helping grill.
I've been in 3 communities almost back to back where someone pulled up and said, I got all this stuff in the trunk. Do you know who I can give it to?
The gentleman who came from Mobile, Alabama, and brought this lady a brand new truck.
Going to ride out the storm, and then all of a sudden she saw the water starting to come up.
I thought maybe we were gonna get washed away. We got in the truck and we tried to get out, but the water was just rushing in.
And I knew right then that's the person I wanted to go help.
You got to move on and help people out.
You know, neighbors out there with their chainsaws, clearing the way.
We want to come, we want to help.
Went to go visit this shrimp farm. This shrimp farm was completely wrecked.
This is their livelihood, obviously, but at the same time, there's a genuine passion there.
That it will eventually get fixed.
We got a month to get ready.
But we're going to get back to work because we have, you know, all these employees relying on us.
Amy and I were in Harlem Heights, and you look at that neighborhood, every street had water 5 feet or more in their house. We're gonna take it day by day. We're gonna rebuild. This is home.
I got a lot to rebuild. I got the house, the shop, you know, and just the whole entire island.
Nature's healing and we'll be next.
And the resiliency that this community has brought forward is unmatched.
Keep it together right now.
And just seeing how many people come out and volunteer their own time because they feel so connected to the community, that really warmed my heart.
Southwest Florida, meet Willie Ray. Willie Ray meets Southwest Florida. It's Willie Ray's Q Shack. It really was a food truck in Cedar Rapids.
Man, we're trying to make the best.
We decided to start feeding people, and the word got out. No, whether they've got storm damage or not, there's no qualifiers in this. If you're in line, you get the ribs, or you get the burgers, you get whatever it is.
We're here for you.
It's just one sliver of all the help that we're seeing all throughout Southwest Florida.
So I met a guy named Johnny.
I'm living in it because there's no place else to go.
He has a long road to recovery.
It's too much.
I know that he's going to be okay. The Florida State Firefighters Association is at his house helping him rip out drywall, clean up, because he couldn't do it on his own.
I just can't replace myself, so we're just all glad that we're all alive.
They lose everything and they say, at least I'm alive. Or they lose everything more inland and say, at least my home is still standing.
Being like, all right, what can I do to help others? What can I do now to step up and make someone else feel like their situation is better?
Everybody here is willing to put the work in to rebuild. And I think that spirit of Southwest Florida, we're gonna get through this and we're gonna make this better than it ever was before.
I love being in a neighborhood where people live with their arms open and their hands open.
And they want to see it built back again. They can't see themselves anywhere else.
This is where I'm from. This is where I'm born and raised, so it would only be the right thing to do.
Because even in the height of such a catastrophe, you're watching people put other people first.
We're going to feed them, we're going to play a little music, and we're just going to have a good time and trying to give them a moment of respite from this.
Not even just out of your traditional charities and nonprofits.
Thank you.
But I'm seeing neighbors helping neighbors who never talked to each other before.
They just need that one person to listen or give them a hug. We had to make a difference right here because this is our home.
Everybody here has been so resilient.
Just to hear them say the little island that could.
You guys happy to be back?
So crazy that this school that might seem so small was basically untouched.
You know that story about the two little pigs, right? It's just a brick, like the big bad wolf loaded, but the bricks didn't fall down.
They all say going back to school is just that sense of normalcy for them.
Feels so good.
I'm gonna rebuild and stay. I'm not going anywhere.
And that's kind of stuck with me ever since.
I mean, it's been Southwest Florida shining in a moment of darkness.
We're moving forward, but we can't quite see what the end is going to be.
Whether it's the housing market or trying to financially support a business.
Say at least half of the houses out here have substantial damage.
Cleaning up the beach, rebuilding paradise. It's gonna take time and the community's support.
Trying to do the best that I can and help people in whatever way I can.
There will be challenges.
I have no income and no car.
People are looking for some relief.
I happen to worry about all the hassles that this Hurricane Ian has brought along.
You have to keep an eye on the long term because this is a multi-year process.
She doesn't know if she's gonna be able to rebuild. That is her retirement home.
It's hard, losing everything.
People have all of these questions. What am I gonna do when it comes to my job? You know, a place to live, my children.
It's hard when in the middle of the night your 9-year-old is like, Mom.
Children who don't understand what's going on, we need to have a group session that they may be made whole again.
People are literally devastated from this storm.
Ian will never be forgotten, but we also want to make sure it's never far from our minds.
I think we're going to be building stronger homes
homes that are possibly higher up.
The last thing I would want to see is high rises all up and down the island. That's not why I came here.
Everybody wants to live on the beach, but you have to do it in a smart way.
I think it'll build up better and bigger.
Now that we have the opportunity to literally take it from ground level in some spots and start over, that we do it smarter. But we build long term to keep future generations safe.
It's nice to know that a lot of places stood the strength. They stood up to it, and now it's just a matter of rebuilding stronger.
It's just so quintessential. It's the first thing you see when you're crossing the bridge when you get here.
The first images that we saw of the lighthouse still standing gave us a little hope that some things survived the impact of the storm.
It just keeps that optimism going.
I think it is a symbol and speaks volumes about our own community. We still stand strong after the storm, and we will continue to do so for years to come.
It's community, it's the essence of why we're here.
We're still standing. We're not gonna let something as catastrophic as Hurricane Ian change who we're gonna be as a community.
Through collaboration, hard work, determination, and hope, we can get back, and we'll be back soon.
You know, I think we build back as way better than we ever could.
We're not alone here in Southwest Florida. There's so many people who are cheering for people.
We love this place.
Yeah, I can't believe the kindness of strangers, you know?
We're all in this together, and we're all going to get through this together.
When you have hope, you have everything. Nothing can stand in your way.
Everyone has truly encompassed community, and we're going to get through this.
We're rebuilding. We're not going to focus on the bad. We're focusing on the good.
I think most people do want to rebuild, absolutely.
It's kind of like getting over and moving on, and that's what we need to do.
God bless you now. Take care of your family.
They went through this devastating storm, but they're still standing, still pushing through.
We aren't going anywhere. This is our home.
People aren't running away, I feel like people are trying to stay, trying to rebuild.
It's going to be still a long process, but there will be progress, and we'll hope for the best.
Community here grows even in the worst of times.
Losing everything is one of the best resets that you can have in life, because you realize what's important.
It's just humanity coming together and saying, I've got you.
We're out helping those who are unfortunate. We went from no help to a plethora of help.
You do know that there are enough people who love this community and care about this community, and they want to bring it back.
Yeah, so just to bring everyone together and just show us some love and appreciation, it really hits well with the heart.
And Southwest Florida has done it before. We're going to do it again.
It's going to be a while, but I think we're going to be better. I think we're going to be strong.
It's going to turn around, and we will rebuild. And we have to be there for each other.
We all got to pull in the rope the same direction, and I feel like, just as a citizen, I feel like I'm seeing that at all the levels, and I'm grateful for it.
This is where we show up for our community. When your community can work together, it's powerful.
Boots on the ground make a big difference.
I'm fully confident we will recover.
A lot more memories to be made.
We're Southwest Florida.
This is my community.
We're one of the most beautiful places on the planet.
Nature's healing, and we'll be next.
Whatever we look like, it might be a little different, but
we're still standing.
I think it's still going to be pretty awesome.